Friends Are Everywhere podcast, where me and my co-host have a frank and light-hearted discussion with some of the people who've become our friends during our travels over the years. Hopefully this will provide an honest and sometimes enlightening insight into our lives as well as theirs, as we all just try to negotiate new and interesting cultures. And even if these insights aren't always forthcoming, we might be able to provide a humorous perspective to lives outside of our home countries. Stay with us and let's see.
I don't know how they do it. The other ones, they didn't block it, but they just said we'll never be able to monetize.
Oh, shit, alright.
So I don't know. Monetize the video anyway. So immediate. It's immediate. This is everyone uses video. Anyone who uses anybody's music on YouTube. The algorithm is kicks in. So yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. It's just a little summertime thing. By Lonnie Liston. You know, that's how we do it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
I like that.
Yeah, well, it's summer over there, it's down there. It's
fair sky, but it's cold.
There you go. UK, doing this thing again. doing this trickery. Alright, so yes, yes, a little bit. Let's flow back in. Let's flow out. All right. So, welcome to My Friends Are Everywhere. And this week, we have a special guest, Kofi Nyamah, from the motherland.
Exactly. The original man.
The original man. Raymond's in the house again.
Original man.
Yes, Ray.
Raymondo
is in the house.
Doing, good to see you again.
The Sprint King.
Yeah.
Sprint Hill King.
So back in the UK, me and a few of my other friends used to run up hills as some form of grueling entertainment. We used to do it in Alexandra Palace, and I have to say, quite miss it.
This man ain't even thinking about hills, boy. I had a conversation with him about training, boy. I was like, I'm like the trainer. You know, I'm like Mr. Motivator for Ray. I'm like, what are you doing, Ray? Come on, you can do it, man. You can do it, Rocky. Come on, you can do it. And Ray's got Adrian in his head. Remember Adrian? You can't beat him, Rocky.
Yeah.
You can't beat him.
He's too strong. He's too strong.
What kind of wife is that? I would have dumped her straight after that fight. Man.
Exactly.
The
original blocker.
You know what I'm saying? Telling me he's too strong. I'm going to fight him as well, you know. I'm going to fight him. And you're like, you can't beat him. He's too strong. Get out. The moment I beat him, get out. You're gone.
To be fair, you know what? That's what Rocky did, isn't it? You know, he lost the fight, the first one. Yeah. And he won the second one.
Yeah.
And he won the third one, didn't he?
Well, after
did he win the fourth one?
Yeah,
after losing. Then she was never seen again after number 4.
That's true. She died though, didn't she?
So he killed her, man.
He killed her.
He wrote her out of the film.
She didn't believe in him. She didn't believe in him. That's all I'm saying, man. She said,
exactly.
You can't beat him, Rocky. He's too strong. I'm like, what kind of wife are you? Immediately just turn around. Really?
Oh, dear.
It would just be like, really? Are you certain? You got my back or what?
Is this how it is?
Is this how we're doing this? Is this how we're doing this? Is this how this relationship's going to be from now on? I guess this is how it is.
Yeah, boy.
Anytime she comes and says, how do I look? Like shit. That's how you look, Adrian. Thank you very much.
You bring back memories there.
Yeah, I know. Bring back all the memories. All right, so Kof, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. It's all good.
Yes. As I said, the original man. The original man born and brought up in North London, but heritage from West Africa. So yeah, obviously I've known you two, the great Ramondo and Hong Kong Kenny for some time. Grew up. together. Day one, isn't it, Ken? Really, just from school days.
It's a long time
I've
ago.
known you and Ray from, I suppose, when you two went to college. So yeah, so yeah, well, uni, okay, all right. So yeah, you're educated a little bit, you know. But yeah, so I've had the opportunity to obviously go to Hong Kong to see Ken. Been able to travel around a little bit and see what's out there in the world. Yeah, it's like I was saying. Now back in London, obviously raising my family, 2 children. Yeah, and just living life. Just making sure that the family's right, the legacy's there, and yeah, that's the background on me.
Well. Also, let's not omit this information. Kofi used to be a professional footballer as well. He's humbly admitted this.
I thought you were going to say that, you know.
What do you mean? I thought you were. It's part of your legacy as well.
Just held back that information.
You know what I'm saying? What?
They look at me smiling like, oh shit.
Because I'm thinking, you know what? You didn't go there.
It's part of you.
It's a good thing, man.
Like all you did was kick a ball. He was like a maniac playing football. I remember Kofi once just walked off the pitch halfway through a game, just walked off.
You know what? I remember that. I actually remember that. You know, the rest of the team were terrible. I mean,
yeah.
We played a team from Hackney.
Walked
right?
off.
And I remember one of the guys from the Hackney team I used to actually train with. We was training for the Chelsea schoolboy teams, so we used to train with him. And I remember it's just like we was getting beat like 2 or 3-0, and everyone else was just losing interest. And they just knew that this team this particular player that the Hackney team had was just better than everyone. So yeah, I was the captain.
What was his name?
I can't remember his name, but he was a good friend of mine. We used to train.
He was too good.
He was just too good. So I was playing up front, and I remember at half time, even like our school teacher, it's just like, oh yeah, what can you do? You know, just carry on and enjoy yourself.
He was like, Adrian, you can't win.
He can't win. Yeah, you had to divorce him. But I remember I actually went to mark him in the second half. I went to mark him,
a striker,
and I remember he got so angry with me marking him that he was going to beat me up. It's like we were friends before, and I remember he's just like, "What are you doing?" I think his name was Mark.
Welcome
if I remember correctly. Yeah, Hackney. You know, there you go, you nutcases. But I remember that. I was like, these guys. I was like, "What are you doing?" I had to tell them off. It's like, we were about 13 or 14 years old, telling the rest of the team off because they just knew that's like we're not going to win this game. I was like, wow. But yeah, good times.
Well, that was you. That was your younger days. You were volatile now. You were volatile in your younger days. You've definitely changed a lot. Well, obviously, we all have.
Of course,
hopefully.
Of course.
So, yeah. So, I would say, like, if you're the same as when you were 14, then things aren't going well. You know what I'm saying? So, what's it like over in the UK at the moment? How's life?
It's quiet, isn't it? And we're on the lockdown. I'm on cell block, North London.
Cell block.
Obviously, yeah, that's what it feels like. Cell block, North London. The warden, obviously, didn't keep his rules. He said everyone's on lockdown, and obviously he went out to hospitals and started shaking hands with people who had COVID-19. So, you know, but it's
So are they keeping you?
Boris Johnson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Follow the story,
so
yeah.
we're still in lockdown.
Are they keeping you in though? So can you just walk out? Can you run around? What can you do?
The government allows. This is why it's cell block H. The government allows you for a regulated hour of exercise. They call it regular exercise for an hour, where you should go do some exercise and come back. But when I go and do my exercises, obviously you see people are out. You know, I can put it. Some people just don't care. This is the weird thing about this place, isn't it? We don't want to be talked to like we're kids or nanny state. However, if you don't follow the rules, people are tutting and they don't like it. So yeah, we're caught between 2 places, isn't it? I mean, people are just gonna not go anywhere and adhere to what the government says, and some people just don't care. So I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago when the government said that they're going to lock down the pubs. I think some people just went to the pub and stayed in the pub for the rest of the night with everyone else, and you just think, things just don't make sense.
The UK. I suppose if everything is supposedly about freedom, isn't it? Like the whole, and we know it's a myth though. We know it's all a myth, but it's supposedly about freedom. And so it's just hard for people just to sit in their house and read a book and probably just be productive without having to go to a pub.
Oh, you know what? I think I've avoided the news. As I say, since this COVID-19 and the lockdown really kicked in, I avoided the news because all you're going to hear is every single minute detail of nothingness. People got nothing to talk about. So all you're going to just keep doing a 24-hour repeat of nothingness. So when it comes down to it, there's some people who are just lost. Do you know what I mean? I think when I do switch on the news, you get the same sort of questions about, the government haven't provided PPE equipment for frontline workers, or the government is supposed to do this, or the government is supposed to do that, and they haven't done it. And it's just take care of yourself, isn't it? I mean, that's the first rule, isn't it? Take care of yourself, take care of your family. But as I say, there's so much sort of, you have to be directed, it seems like, by the government to do whatever. Here, we've got, every single Thursday at 8 o'clock, we've got a minute of applause for it. Well, initially it was for the NHS, and now it's expanded to key workers, which is a good thing. And everywhere it comes out, you hear people clapping, people banging their pans, and you can hear it all the way around. So that's a great thing. But if you remember, about 6 months ago, some of those key workers in the NHS were being, asked to leave. Being asked to leave the country. Yeah. So this is where we're at, isn't it? There's a lot of confusion in the country in terms of the messages that we're being told. The message of, who's good, trying to keep British workers employed and that sort of stuff. Not having too many European or foreign workers. So now, obviously, we need as many workers as we can. And it's confusing. It's confusing to people who have got half a clue about what's going on.
Yeah. I think I saw something today, and the report was just a brief snippet. And obviously, they're trying to downplay deaths, of course. And what the report did say was like, these people would have died anyway. Like half of them would have died anyway within that year. So don't worry about it. So the actual death rate is lower than you think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Trump.
It's ridiculous.
Like for real?
You know what? As I said, there was
that was Trump.
I remember.
No, this is in UK.
Oh, it's here as well.
It's the UK.
Yeah.
This is the UK. This was a report in the UK.
Listen.
Real. So basically, what they're trying to do then is they're just like saying to themselves, okay, we saw how everyone else tackled this, and some people were doing it really good, but because we don't sort of like the way they do it, we're going to try our own special way of doing it. All right, everyone, have a little mingle. Some of you are going to die. Some of you are going to be alive. That's the way we're going to work it out. Yeah, brilliant. We love it.
No one does it better than the UK when it comes to actually, how can I put it, just bending the rules a little bit.
Shit show.
So what happened was that the death count was initially just for people who died in hospitals. So the majority of people who were in care homes weren't counted. So you had like a number of just hospital deaths. And now, because of pressure, the government has been forced to actually include people who died in care homes or not in hospitals. So obviously there was a spike. It wasn't widely reported, but there was a spike in the death rate. And but now it's not reported as widely. So we used to have like a daily count of people who had died, and now we don't get as many daily counts. And it's fantastic, isn't it? That it's just managing the situation in their heads.
So you know what they've done? They're like, you know what? maybe let's not speak about this anymore. Let's not speak about it. Maybe they'll
While those
forget.
numbers are going up, boy, everyone's just like, so what, are we going to tell them? It's like, no. Just leave that piece of paper.
Look at that.
Shut up, everyone.
It's just like, just put it over there.
All the politicians.
Put it over there.
So today's day with their friend. Shut up.
No, you know what? That's exactly what I done, Ken.
You know,
listen,
it's like when you're on the phone and someone comes in and starts trying to talk to you and just go, shut up.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know what? When somebody asked a tough question, they went back to the mantra of stay home. Was it stay home? What's the other one? Stay in, stay home, protect the NHS. That was the mantra. You know, don't ask questions. Stay home, stay in, protect the NHS. It's like, because they know everyone, obviously, we love the NHS in this country. Do you mean? It's a great institution. And it's only when Boris Johnson went into hospital, I think he went into intensive care, you know, the message started changing. You know, just like, oh, yes, the NHS, so great. A year ago, you know, it was the big thing in the election. The big thing is like, you know what, we need to put more money in the NHS. We need to put more money in the NHS. Stop paying the EU. Let's put the money back in the NHS. 2 years ago, the NHS was, oh, you know what, it's too expensive. And essentially they were looking for ways to actually, you know, so it was up for a debate about if it could be included in trade talks with other countries, especially the Americans. So, yeah, so, you know, I'll tell you what, sometimes you just got to scratch your head and say, you know what, these guys, the message changed in a second.
But as long as people believe it, you know, they believe it.
Yeah.
They believe it.
Before, they would have gladly seen it fall apart.
Without doubt.
Well, their batty's hurting them, man.
Well, now, obviously, because it's such a key, because it's a very, very important institution, the thing that the ridiculous nature of them trying to dismantle it
was never important.
Ridiculous anyway. It was ridiculous. And then they're like, man, that now in this crisis, the importance of an institution like the NHS is now even, everybody can see its value. Everyone can see its importance.
Exactly.
Suddenly they're like, oh yeah. We're for the NHS. No, you weren't, mate. Let's keep this real. Don't lie to the people.
Oh,
stop lying.
They will lie.
About everything. Exactly. About anything. It's not worth listening to politicians. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, those dead people, cut in half because they would have died anyway. So we're all going to die anyway. So what does this mean? What are we talking about here? I don't understand. This makes no sense.
So I've just thought of a new sort of like ministerial position. So if half of these people were going to die anyway, right, and the death toll at the moment is quite high, then basically if we take away half of that, then half of the people died.
That's what they've done, Ray.
Right.
No, that's what they've done. That's what they've done. That's what they've done. They're reporting.
I thought they were just saying, no. Well, half of these people would have died anyway, you know, but it's still on the thing. You're telling me that they literally looked at it and went, half of these people would have died anyway. Yeah,
cut it in half. Cut it in half. It's like telling your girlfriend. It's like telling your girlfriend, well, I would have cheated anyway. I just cheated earlier. You know how it goes. I just had to cheat early. That's it. I got in there first. Just whatever. Oh well. You know what? What can we do? We're all in different parts of the world. Things are going well for everyone, obviously. Like, how's things going for you down there, Ray? There's always check-in with Ray. Every week, check-in with Ray. Let's see what Guangzhou is doing this week.
Wait. Let's do the sort of like the new sort of like music.
Check-in with Ray.
You know what? Ray gave himself a moment, you know. He gave himself a moment before he answered, you know. He started laughing like, oh, yeah, what am I going to say now?
It's check-in with Ray time. It is. Every week there's check-in with Ray. Check-in with Ray. What's happening in Guangzhou?
Guangzhou is sunny today.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it's
sunny racism?
Hot.
Sunny racism?
I still got, it's still fun, man. You still have people jumping out the way, sort of like running out of elevators and shit like that. But, you know.
Still, are they running out? You get in there, they're like,
elevators, man. It's hilarious. So I don't know if you if you heard, like, but yeah, it's a bit funny up here at the moment, or down here compared to where he is. It's a bit funny down here, man. But yeah, I got people running out of elevators and shit like that, and like you go into a shop and people sort of like walk the other way around the aisles and shit to sort of like go to get away from you. But yeah, it's normality now, isn't it?
Okay. That ends the segment of Checking with Ray.
Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what, Ray, listen, I feel your pain, man. Don't worry about it, all right? You know what I mean? Especially this guy. This guy in the big city, obviously he's not going through your pain. So
I am going through no. You know what? In all honesty, like
we all go through this shit.
I told Kenny about this, and like Kenny was like, "What? I don't believe that shit, man. That can't be. That's not China." Like I know to my man, so I was telling him for ages, like how it feels down there, and it's like, nah. And then obviously it turns up on the news. These guys. And he's like, and it turns up on the news, and then he goes, "Ray, what's going on, Dad?" I was like, "Hey, what the fuck do you find?"
Oh, shut up, man. Even people in his own city. No. All I'm going to say, even people in his own city didn't believe what he was talking about. He's got what your friend, the guy that you bodyguard for. He bodyguards for this Indian South African dude. He's like his bodyguards.
I got my security sort of like beard guy as well.
For free though. but so, that dude didn't believe any of your crap, anything that you were saying. He lives down there.
He didn't. He does now.
He just wasn't going through what you were going through.
All right. So basically, what it is he's South African. He's got an African passport, and yeah, they were locking people in, boy, like enforced quarantine and shit. And yeah, they just turned up. Said, yo, bro, you better stay in your yard. They were putting like fucking these weird alarms and shit on his door. Like if he opens this door, they know when he's opened his.
It's real down there, man.
It was real, mate. It was
real down there, Kof.
Real.
And you know what? Kenny was living. He was going into Shanghai and living a high life.
Kenny's
life is like
it's very different.
Very different. It was like what? That can't be China. That's not the way. I don't believe that.
But all I'm going to say to you, Ray, Kof as well. So this is just part of the game. Everybody always expects that when you travel around the world. So traveling has so many challenges, and you're going to have to face them. So I may not be facing them now, but without doubt, I faced them at some point in my travels. I remember once I was in Brazil. I was working for a school in Brazil. I was living in the place that they actually that they rented for me. So I'm just there chilling out. I'm there living by myself. It's like it's one bedroom, has a kitchen, and has this like an eating area. I'm cool. Everything's fine. Out of the blue, one of the guys in the school, a Canadian guy, American, sorry. The American guy says, I'm leaving the school. I'm saying, okay, fine, he's leaving. And they say, we need another foreign teacher. And I said, great, no problems. And then they say, and then I said, okay, where's he going to stay? And they're like, in with you? I'm like, but there's one room.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I'm like, there's one room? There's one room? This is the world. It messes you up. You've got to fight through all of these things. So obviously, I'm like, no, that can't run. What am I going to do? So I'm scrambling to see if I can find another place, all of this. And he still came, and he was still living in the room with me for a little while until someone left to go to Japan. Lots of Japanese, Brazilians.
Yep, the world is not always as you envision it or see on television. In fact, Brazil has about 1.5 million Japanese Brazilians. And they're just as Brazilian as anyone else. Apart from the indigenous people. Well, they're the real Brazilians, of course.
They go over to Japan. It's like indentured workers, for God's sake. They go over to Japan because Japan's a little bit racist and doesn't like a lot of foreigners coming in to work in Japan. They want to keep a quota down. So they'd rather have Japanese Brazilians coming in there to work rather than anyone else. So yeah, fortunately I'd made friends, and they went off to Japan for work, and then I moved into a big house in Brazil. But I had to work it. This is the way of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You've got to adapt.
In all honesty, I understand this, and I know that whatever it is, I've got to work my way through this anyway. It's as simple as that. I'll still talk about it because there are always these little idiosyncrasies while I'm down it, but I've got to work through it. You know what I mean?
So yeah, when I say when it seems like I'm being harsh and a little bit, but you know what, I've been through it as well, and it's just nobody was even there to say, you know what, Ken, you work through it. It's just like in my head, you better do something, or you're going home.
Thank you, Uncle Ken.
Literally, it's survival, isn't it? You know what I mean? Your big uncle is telling you, he's spitting game there, isn't it? Telling you knowledge, but this is it, isn't it? You've got to adapt wherever you are.
To learn.
Of
Literally.
course.
It's a learning process.
You know,
a learning process.
You know, even the UK, you've got to adapt to situations. For example, like we're gonna have a conversation topic, and it's basically about what would you tell your 26-year-old self? And
16.
16? 16. 16. That's a big young. That's a big young. All right. 16. What would you tell your 16-year-old self? That's young, man. Ooh.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think 16, you're on the cusp of starting your adult life.
Okay.
So, I mean, 26, you've started something, isn't it? You've got something, you're in there. But if you're 16, what do you tell your 16-year-old self? I mean, now you go back in time, get on your, what's that, Back in the Future car, go back there, the DeLorean. Now you see your Doc, what's his name, Doc?
Oh, what the hell was it?
Is it Doc Martin? Doc Martin. Was that the shoe?
I can't remember. Was it Doc Martin?
Anyhow.
Whatever. Doc.
Doesn't matter.
Anyhow.
Doc.
Yeah, so you're back there. You're talking to your 6-year-old self, and what do you say? Well, shall I answer? Shall I go for it?
Yeah, you first. You first. Well, what would you say?
I mean, as you said, as you said, I mean, back then, 16, I was just starting out in football.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously it's mad competitive getting into the football world. And it was a case of, okay, you know what? Looking back at it now, me telling my 6-year-old self, it's just that you whatever you're doing, if it's football or whatever career or thing that you want to get into, you really need to be an expert. You really need to actually, you know, fully be, how can I put it, throw yourself into that world, in effect. You know, because when you think about it, particularly now, even when I was 16, your competition is fierce. No matter what you're going into, no matter what field you're going into, your competition is fierce. And I suppose in most societies, it's just like the people who have connections, the people who know how things work, tend to get ahead. So, I mean, telling my 6-year-old self is that you better understand and get into the details of what you get into. So, me as a 6-year-old, just playing, you know, being at a club, trying to turn into a professional footballer, you know, I was just concentrating on actually the game itself. But it's like anything, isn't it? It's bigger than the game itself. There's so many different little strands that you have to be aware of. You know, and my 6-year-old self wasn't aware about, you know, how, I suppose, contracts, you know, what you can get in the contract, how you can, you know, use agents, how you can use, I suppose, different managers as well to get ahead. And you learn that. And like you said, Ken, with your example, sometimes you've got to learn the hard way. However, if you're well informed at that start, you're starting ahead. You're not starting behind. So I think with my 16-year-old self, I was there by myself. Literally, I was, doing my football career on my this on my Jones. For anyone who doesn't understand slang, I did it all by myself. Literally, I was just, I didn't have anyone else in the football industry to say, you know what, think about this, do that, do this. So yeah, really, you need to be an expert. Find out exactly what you're going to do. Every little thing in your career, how does it work? If you need to ask questions about how does it work, go and ask those questions. Have that network, have friends who can say, you know what, think about this, think about that. Yeah, because it just makes you understand what's going on, and that's I think the key point for me. I mean, you have to have an understanding of what you're doing for you to be successful at it.
Yeah, I agree. Would you still do football? Would you say to yourself, I'm still continuing with the football career?
Oh, without a doubt, because it's hard to get into. I mean, most of us, we'll grow up hoping to either be a film star, a movie star, be in music or be in sport. I suppose they're the careers that are glamorous, in effect. But so it is difficult to get into. That's the reality. So having a chance to get in there and being at a stage where you've got the opportunity to actually show what you can do, yeah, 100%. I would do it again. But like I say, I would just actually think on a wider spectrum about how it works. That makes sense.
But here's what I would tell my 16-year-old self, without a doubt. It would definitely be work harder. Harder, apply yourself. You have to work really hard to actually achieve goals. I would give up too easily when I was younger. I didn't understand that you have to work through things. To become skilled at anything, you have to put in so many hours. Even if it's something that, I would say, yeah, because I wanted to do technical drawing, become an architect, that kind of thing. I just didn't put in the work. I just thought it would come easy. But that's 16, at 16, Ray.
Yeah. No. Obviously, sorry. Go ahead.
I thought it would become easy. I thought it would come easy to me. But no, it's difficult. You've got to put in work. You've got to work hard. You've got all of the distractions. And it's difficult because you're 16, man. There's distractions everywhere. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough,
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? It's
true.
Hard. You want to get laid? Getting laid is probably more important than sitting at home and studying a technical illustration or working on the math behind buildings. It's just not that interesting. It's not that interesting when you want to get laid. So
you know what? I mean, you see what you're saying, right? Because obviously, I think at that time, obviously your priorities weren't there about working hard. I hear what you're saying. However, do you mean you use working hard at other things that really work long term, isn't it? If you're trying to get girls or whatever, or trying to get, I don't know, your driving license, that's sort of short term, isn't it? But being an architect, I mean, that just carries you through, isn't it? You get all the things that you need, and all the other short term things will come along with it. So you're absolutely right about that. Work hard.
But you don't understand so it's for everything. I think the one thing that taught me about not having short term, it's not about short termism. Nothing comes straight away today. Was definitely learning another language. It really taught me a lot about these things. This is a long game. These things, they don't come easy. It's a long haul in this world. I would study 6 months down the line, nothing. I still couldn't say a word in Portuguese. I remember couldn't say a word. Still couldn't do it. Like, was baffled every time people spoke. I'm studying. I'm working. I'm trying to do it. And then you get frustrated, and then you say, "What is this? This is ridiculous. Just quit, man." There's always that guy in your head. When you're younger, you listen to him all the time. When you're older, maybe you can say, "You know what? Maybe I really need this. So I'm going to have to work through it. I'm going to see where it takes me. Let me just see where it takes me. Let me just see if I continually do this. Let me see if I can break through the wall. When you're young, you're not even getting to the wall. Let's keep it real. You're running for like about 5 meters, and then it gets hard and it starts to hurt, and you're like, let me just go out and get some girls, man. Forget this. This is long. Remember, this is all we used to say when we were younger. It's long, man. It's long. It's long. We have really short-term ideas about the world. And the thing is, you're here for a long time, no matter what anybody says. And it reverberates through the whole of your entire life. Those decisions which you make at 16, 17, 18. It doesn't just end there. It's not like, that was a bad choice. No, those decisions can sometimes lock you into a path for years. Like, it's mad.
Yeah, but that comes through experience as well, though, doesn't it? Those are the things that when your parents used to say to you, if you don't hear, you must feel. It's exactly that. It's exactly that, you know. We had a lot of things when we were 16 that you were sort of like planning out in your head where you're going to be and things like that. And sometimes it came through, but it was, what do you do after it?
No, but I'll tell you one thing. That I've learned also traveling the world, and like places like China, no matter what, they give their child a skill very early. So they understand what it's like to actually learn something very difficult. So they know what it's like to do something really difficult and master it. So mastery of something.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Time.
Exactly, being a master, expert at something. So I mean, so all your, I suppose your plans, like you said, Ray. So I mean, obviously you want to do things that you want to do, but if you don't master something, then all the other things just might not come through.
Well, look, listen. What would I tell my 16-year-old self? Is continue doing the things that you're good at. I used to be good at things like art. So when Kenny's talking about technical illustration and stuff like that, I've actually got my qualification in that. I was skilled in it. I won't lie about that. But you know what I did? Because I was what they would term naturally gifted at certain things, I didn't continue practicing. And that would be one of the things that I would definitely say is that, like, never give up on a skill just because you're good at it, because that's where there's always a difference between someone who is perceived as naturally gifted as opposed to someone who has to acquire that skill. The person who has to acquire that skill will continually practice and practice to gain their proficiency, whereas if you're naturally gifted, you will just sort of like, you know, depending on your attitude, say, I could pick this up tomorrow rather than practice it.
I just don't think it was drilled into us. I really don't think it was. Honestly, you need to learn these things pretty early. It really is. You need to. Upstairs, there's a kid. He runs around the room every bloody second, every day, because obviously all the children are off school. But every day at something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, piano lessons. Bam. Doesn't matter.
I think
piano lessons immediately.
I think that's important.
No getting away from it.
That's important. Very, very important.
It's teaching him a skill.
This is the thing. Yeah, so this is the thing that I would say for a lot of people, especially growing up in England, is that once school is finished, allow your child to do something that they can master. Because since I've been over here, one thing I like Kenny, I've seen is that every child does something after school. There's always an extracurricular activity that's not based around sitting in front of a PlayStation or whatever it is. Whether it's a sport, whether it's something academic, or whether it's something creative, there's always something that they've got to do. And I think that should be a very important thing to that parents should sort of drill into their children at an early age.
Right. You need to.
You know what? I hear you.
100%.
I was going to say, I mean, Ray, what you're just saying is it's just having a focus, isn't it? You're focusing on something. Do you know what I mean? You're focusing on something that actually is going to develop you. You know, if it's a skill, if it's an activity, it's going to develop you in some way, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I think it's like we're sort of like making the same points where it's just like, if you focus on something, you practice something, you'll become better at it. If you don't do anything, then that's it. You won't become good at anything.
And that was, right, and that was my point in the fact when I said I was perceived to be naturally gifted at doing things like art, and I love technical things. Used to enjoy building models and things like that. You know, big geeky. I sit at home for hours just building models and things. However, it was something that was really enriching to me, and something I found very comforting when I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do something. I want to do this.
Why you stop?
And but that's
why you stop.
The same reason why you didn't continue doing what you wanted to do. It's like you get other distractions, and those distractions, in my mind, is like an arrogance. I said to myself, well, boy, you know what? Chat, I'm good at this thing. I could pick it up at any point and X, Y, Z. And after a few years, when you haven't done it, you can't just...
You lost it.
Yeah, of course.
Like that, the muscle memory is gone. Like that practice thing that you've learned over years and years and years. You know, like if you haven't played football for ages, you know, you could still play. You could play better than the average person. You know what I'm saying? But the touch that you used to have, that you look for, it's not going to be the same.
Look, boy, I don't know about that, Ray. You know what, man?
I still got to touch.
I was with you to that point, you know.
Look at him, boy. He's out of practice. Get out of practice.
I was struck a nerve. Kofi's like, what?
You show your age there, my friend.
Yeah. I can still trap it.
You know what? But you know what? I think, yeah, you're absolutely right, isn't it? It's just like what you say. If you don't keep on practicing, the world moves on. Yeah, for one. You know, I mean, nothing stands still. I mean, there'll be others. If you're 16, there'll be others practicing what you're trying to do. I mean, come 16, 17, 18, 19, if they carry on, they're going to be ahead of you. This is the point, isn't it? So if you're becoming a master, you keep on doing what you're doing, and you get better and better at it. Yeah. There'll be new techniques coming out. There'll be new things that you need to pick up. There'll be new insights. This is how the world turns. We're in competition. Let's be honest. I mean, obviously you're in a different place. You see 6-year-olds playing piano, learning skills, doing art. They're competing with you. That's the reality, isn't it? Everyone's competing with each other.
Mate,
you got to be a master.
I still like you. I still reckon I could draw, but can I draw to the proficiency that I was once able to? Can I produce something at a pace that would be a comfortable pace for me? No. I'm not trapping. I'm not trapping that ball.
It's just the way it goes. Look at him trying to diss you off. Look at him trying to diss you. I still got him, man. Kofi's there like this.
I love it. Masculinity. The masculinity came out quick, boy. Like what? No, I'm like, I could still do it.
I could get on that pitch and I could smash it in. Like, you know, in your 40s, you still think you got it somewhere. You still think you got it.
Of course, isn't it?
Derek Redmond hamstring thing. You know what I mean?
Still think you got it, boy. Still think you got it. Nah. But as I said, learn that language is a light bulb moment, because it just taught me. And it's unfortunate that it wasn't something that I'd done years and years and years earlier. But that would have just been me. But that's where you got your parents. Sometimes if your parent had just said, you're going to do this thing and you're not going to stop it, and that's just too bad. You're going to see it to the end. That teaches you something. It says, you're going to see this through to the end. I remember I played the oboe in school, and I was playing it, and he said, you know what I said? I don't like it. I wasn't very good at it, but it doesn't matter. That's why you've got to keep on doing it. But I was doing it. I said, don't like it. I don't like the fact that you've got to keep on, putting a reed in there, because it's a reed. And I don't like the fact you've got to keep on touching it with your tongue. And my mum said, that's okay, baby. It's dirty. Don't worry about it. That's fine. Don't worry about it. My mum should have said, you're doing that forever. She should have gone all Chinese on them, boy.
Shut your mouth and carry on.
She should have gone Chinese. She should have gone Chinese family. Like, the kids were like, I don't like it. Fine, you're doing it tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after, and the day after that, and the day after that, until you're good, until you're great, until you're brilliant, until you can play in the Philharmonic Orchestra. That's when you can say you don't like it. But that's it. You're done.
Exactly.
This has
Bro,
been
I'm
selected
gonna
for you.
say, when I went to when I was in Hong Kong, right, and this is the time of the yellow umbrella. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Umbrella Revolution.
Yellow umbrella revolution, right? So I'm walking around town. Obviously, seeing the sights, seeing Hong Kong Ken there, and good times, isn't it? Huh?
Oh, Hong Kong.
And I remember went to Central, because that was where the main bit of the demonstration was taking place, and it was about 8 o'clock at night, and they're in the street, and I remember walking around, and I saw just people with light bulbs on in this makeshift camps or makeshift, shacks. Yeah, it wasn't poor or broke anything, but they were just there, and there was kids who were 15, 16 still studying when the demonstration was going on. And that was like, I was like, you know what? I was thinking, wow. But in reality, you know what? In a place like Hong Kong, the competition is fierce. To get good jobs is hard. If you don't study and get a good grade, you might as well forget it. I mean, it came through. It's just like they competed against the guy who he's not going to the demonstration and he's studying. So I mean, and that's just like light bulb moment again. You've got to master it.
Is London, is the competition in London fierce, or is it just you can just chill out and still get by? You can chill out and still get by, but it's still fierce. It's still fierce.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it's still fierce. I mean, there's still the old sort of like what school you went to mentality. However, there's new money, isn't it? When you think about it, technology has changed things. There's people of I suppose no school background or no sort of network. They're making money because technology is there. It's changing the way people think. So, but however, I mean, if you're rich and you're got an inkling about technology, you're gonna have a head start anyway, because you've got money to actually set up a company. You're gonna have some networks in your to do things or get money in. But yeah, competition is there. It's everywhere.
And that's the thing. Everyone needs to realize competition is fierce, and you've got to practice, and you've got to work harder than the next person. And it's simple, but that's it. And you have to kind of have that ingrained in you sometimes as well. It took me a long time to realize this, to be honest. I was just getting by. It wasn't really ingrained in me, but eventually I got there. And maybe it's because of travel as well. So the next topic is like, does travel elevate people? So has travel elevated you, Ray? But you haven't been doing it that long, so I don't know.
I haven't been doing it that long. However, similar to what we spoke about earlier on, I definitely feel that doing this little bit of traveling for the past year and a bit of change or whatever, I have matured slightly. With
Silence. Silence. The man is on the other end of the phone conversations from Ray. Silence. It's been slight. It's been incremental.
I have matured. I have definitely. It will be interesting to see what things will be like after a few years, and when I go back to London, if I choose to go back to London and stay for any extended period of time. I believe it has helped me. Had to deal with things in a certain way, and I've met new people that I would never have met if I wasn't here.
Yeah,
you're adapting.
Of course, it is. You must do, isn't it, Ray? So you're learning. You're like, when people run away from you out of the elevator, you're like, okay.
means I've got an elevator to myself then, doesn't it?
Basically, means I guess it's free.
If it stops on the floor, just look, and they go, you're just like, okay, cool.
Who wants a full elevator anyway? Yeah, I would love if people just ran. I would love if people just ran out the elevator every time I got in. Like, thank you very much. I like empty elevators. It's better this way. Thank you. Oh, thank you. No, the next thing you like walk up on people and their wife. Then you walk up with like married couples, and then the guy runs away, and you don't know, your wife can stay here.
That's
The
the
man just
movie
runs
ending,
away.
isn't it?
Yeah, the man just runs away, and you just stay, keep the wife. No, you stay here. Run away. Let him run, boy. You stay. I'll take care of you. Let that idiot run away, running down the road. This would be great, man. But yeah, so I don't know. I definitely believe it's definitely changed me. I cannot say I'm the same person that I was in 2007 when, I think it was 2006. I always remember Kofi told me I'm never leaving. I think I remember that conversation. Do you remember that?
I didn't say that. I didn't say you better hurry up.
You said it. No, man. I remember that conversation.
I said reverse psychology.
No,
reverse
man.
psychology. I said you better get out.
So
You were stuck in a dungeon.
Kofi, like I think at this time you were setting up Talent Base, like a business venture. And I think I was working with Kofi at the time. And I remember I was whinging about London. I was whinging about it. So you're not going to remember it, Kof. The person.
I remember it.
No. The person who's on the receiving end remembers it and internalizes it, and it never goes away because I still hear it to this day. So I remember I was having this conversation, and Kof said, "Oh, you're never leaving anyway, so stop moaning." And I kind of cried a little bit. There was like
My job was done.
There was a tear that went down my eyes. I said, "I'll show him," and I was like, "I'll show him, man. You'll see. He's gonna see. I'm gonna show him." And I took it with me. And you know, you never say anything I never said anything back to you like I'll show you, Kof. You'll see. No, I just took it, internalized it, put it in a little ball, and I just threw it at everything, the world.
Listen, bro. Listen. You know what? Like I say, you know what? I'm proud of you, man. I remember that time. I remember that time because there was a period leading up to it where you was whinging hard. You every single day. I say, "Okay, what's up? Ah, man, I can't win. I'm not winning at the moment." And you wanted to expand. You know what I mean? This is like you can see it. You wanted to expand, and to be fair, you have. Do you know what I mean? I can see what you speak in Portuguese. You speak in Spanish. You speaking a bit of Mandarin or Cantonese?
I'll speak a bit of Mandarin. I'll speak a bit of Mandarin. I'll speak a little. I'm not gonna, again, I think I said it before. This is not at the level of my Spanish or Portuguese at all. But I'm working on it. Again, I understand the work that's required to learn languages. It takes time, it takes effort, and yeah, I'm working on it. Because why not? I'm here.
I think for me, what's impressive is that you learn the languages, you've gone to different places. And I think now you can do was it the tango or the rumba? Which one can you do? That's the most impressive thing.
He does some kind of salsa in a vest and tight shorts.
Salsa, there
You're
you
bringing
go.
this back again. Look at this. What is this, Ray? You tried to bring it back in one podcast, and he tried to bring it back in like another podcast. This is like his golden arrow. You know, he's got something all the time. He's just waiting this night. He's just waiting. He just sits in the corner. Just wait for my moment, and then he just jumps out the corner. Okay, here we go. Once I went to salsa in shorts and a vest. I'm taking the power away from
baby seals. Whatever you. Oh gosh, you're trying to take
Was it those tight shorts? Was it those tight shorts you were wearing, bro?
I don't know, man. I just went there for the ladies. That's all I'm gonna say.
Shut. You were doing it for yourself, innit? You looked in the mirror, you thought, yeah. Smooth night.
Sexy. You look in the mirror. You know when you're that guy, you're giving yourself like added a boost. You look in the mirror and you say, you know what? I'm looking sexy. I'm just gonna walk out in this tight top and these tight pants. And then you do it. And then afterwards, like someone like pulls you up on it and says, "What are you doing, man?"
God, I'm not even lying about it. I opened the door, right? And he clearly thought. He clearly thought that. It was written on his face. He clearly thought, yeah, I'm absolutely sexy. He was having Right Said Fred playing in his head when he was.
Yeah, he was living the life, isn't it? That was the life.
He loves this story.
The hot salsa life.
He loves it, man.
With salsa shorts.
Hey, someone's got to do it, man. So we can't all just wear black like a ninja.
Ah.
Like Ray's uniform is just black like a ninja. Like every time,
Ninja.
it's like it
This
is.
ninjutsu.
It's like you see him, and is he wearing black again? Yes, of course he's wearing black.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
He's always trying to blend in.
Black, man.
What's going on?
I'm actually sitting on a black sofa as well.
I have no doubt. So
There you go, man.
he just wears black every time. Every time you go out, you say, "Ray, you're gonna be wearing black again?" He said, "Yeah, I like black, you know. I like it." You're like,
That's right.
"Yeah, I like a lot of things as well, Ray. You know, I like mayonnaise sometimes. I don't wear it on all the time. I don't wear it. Don't wear it out with me all the time."
And see, this is Ken's go-to. This is Ken's go-to with me as well. It's the black.
Well,
I know, Ken. Sorry. So there's an impression that you do of me quite frequently when
What's
you
your impression?
speak.
no, I'm not doing it now. And listen, what is it? You can't tee me up. I'm not having you tee me up. It's not good when people tee me up. I don't like that. I don't like teaming up. It's not spontaneous. Now that feels like you're just that does not feel natural. that does not feel natural in any way. I'm not being teed up. I want it to come out of the blue.
I refuse to work for you.
I want it to come.
refuse to work for you.
I want it to be natural out of the blue, where it makes use.
Prop.
I cannot be used. You know what I'm saying? So what about you, Kof? One second. Let's get back to Kof. So Kof, what about Ghana? Is that going to be a thing?
Oh, yeah, it has to be. It has to be. I mean, when you think about it, all right, like I said, you go to different places. Obviously, there's positives in doing that, but there's also negatives as well. There's also things that, you might not feel as comfortable trying to be yourself in certain places. It's just a balance of life, isn't it? So going to somewhere like Ghana, obviously, as I say, it's my heritage. It's within me. So going there, trying to do something, it's just like innate, really. And yeah, you just feel comfortable, isn't it? It's just like it's a place that's actually it's growing. It's growing as an economy. The people are fantastic. They're my people, literally. You know what I mean? So I explain to people, it's like where I grew up in London, being at home was Ghana. You step out of your home, you're in London again. So that's the mentality of my my upbringing. So I get it when I'm in Ghana. Obviously, there's things there you just think, oh well, things could be better, or the way people think could be better. But it's just like you got to adapt, isn't it? And but however, I've also been to other places where you see how other people live, and obviously there's good things there. There's things that you just think, oh, that's not really for me. But you go and you experience, isn't it? You experience different things. You experience new things. Obviously, you get people that you're on level with. You other people, you're just like, yeah, stay away from me. And this is the world. I mean, but you've got to go and see it. If you just stay at home, they say you get frustrated. I mean, there's like, I think there was a time. Well, I mean, I'm at a time where now it's like there's bigger things. There's things out there in the world that I can do, that I'm possibly restricted from doing here, and it's not a good feeling, isn't it? So I mean, just traveling, not only physically gets you out there, but mentally takes you to places where you've just got to think, okay, you know what? There's certain skills that I've got that could actually help me make it in a place, or help me make it anywhere. And that's what I like about traveling. You know what I mean? So it's like your struggles with the language, Ken, was, it's just like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And Ray's, I suppose you're going through that sort of adaptation now, where if you go into lift, you know what, you might say, you know what, I'm going to take the stairs from now on. You know what I mean? Not a problem. But you've got to go through that sort of that challenge.
No. Look at this, Ray. I ain't taking the stairs. You take the stairs.
You take the stairs.
That's why you get on the lift.
You take the stairs. I came in the lift. If you want to run out, you take the stairs. God damn it.
That's straight up.
You know what I do. You know what I do as well. Like the lift gets to my floor, I just like jam it.
That's for me.
Just like jam it, put like a box there or something, or a brick, and just jam it, boy, and it never gets back down there, boy. I'd do. Oh man, it'd be sweet. It would be sweet. So yeah. So would you move to Ghana eventually, Kof?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no at all. Yeah, I mean, even the weather, you say you're getting all around, well, near enough 10, 11 months of just like 25, 30 degree heat, sun blazing. So, I mean, that is, again, it's innate. I'm at a place where we get 3 or 4 months of sunshine if we're lucky. I mean, so, I mean, it can mess with you. And when I've gone to Ghana, I was there last year, you just think, okay, you know what? Why not? Why not? That's the thing. Why not just do it? Well, obviously, I've got family here in London, which I need to consider and take care of. However, I mean, there's no law saying that you can't live in 2 places at once. Well, let me clarify. You can't live in more than you can live in more than one place. You can live in more than one place. So it's the thing. I mean, you see people who have the wealth and the capacity to do it. They got houses in different countries. I mean, why not? And Ghana is a place where, you know, I think it's getting a lot of attention now, especially from the African diaspora all around the world. They had this year return in 2019, which by all means went well. I was there in 2019. I didn't really see it as much. However, you know, it's just like it's opened up people's eyes. Why not? Why not? I mean, Africa is a place that's got everything.
It really does have everything.
It literally has everything.
It really
I mean, the only thing it needs more is organisation. I mean,
yeah. Well, it needs to keep its the intellect to keep leaving to go other places to stay where they are.
Brain drain.
Listen. So, in terms of Ghana, what kinds of investment possibilities are there in Ghana that you could mention off the top of your head?
Oh, absolutely those. I mean, yeah, he's going. It will be.
I like that, Ray. He's getting.
You know what? Did you write that question down, Ray? I like that question.
Write it down. You know, he's like, in front of the mirror, like me in my tight shorts. He was in front of me. Like me in my tight shorts. He said, "So this is the question. I'm going to hit him with this right towards the end."
Well, the question was born simply for the reason that you said that you've been there a few times, and I was just wondering whether or not you might have seen anything that would have been, or even a few things that would be possibly good investments in Ghana.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would say, obviously, property anywhere, having property anywhere is a good investment. And when I was there last year, you see a lot of people from more places going to Ghana to experience Africa for the first time, possibly. Obviously, people from North America, obviously people from the Caribbean. I've always seen a lot of people from the Caribbean actually arriving in Ghana.
It's a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage for a lot of people from the Caribbean.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, the similarities. The similarities. I was lucky enough to go to Jamaica. When I went to Jamaica, about 2-3 weeks before that, I just went to Ghana. So, you know, you go to Jamaica, you think, okay, this is the first time I've been there, but you see the similarities with somewhere like Ghana. And it was comfortable, it was amazing to see. And I think most people who've been to both places will say the same thing. So, yeah, there's loads of similarities with Caribbean islands, I imagine. Not just the people, only the people. But with Ghana, obviously, you've got things that are just moving. You know, there's no reason why you can't do any sort of business in Ghana. I don't think there is. I mean, the law, if I can remember it, is that you do need to have some sort of shared ownership with Ghanaians, which I say it makes sense. But property is there, and there's emerging sort of IT sort of way of thinking. You know, people in Ghana, because of the weather, they're out. They're not just sitting at home, they're waiting, watching TV. They're out. There's lots of, I suppose, services that you can actually do using, I suppose, smartphone technology and that sort of thing, which seems to be growing. People are doing banking. They've been doing smartphone banking for years. I suppose one of the pioneers of smartphone banking is Africa, because why not? You know, people have phones. They don't actually have the banking facilities. So the smartphone has picked that up. You know, it's seen a gap in the market and it's picked it up. So there's so many different ideas of actually that people are bringing from the diaspora, obviously Ghanaians themselves. They're trying to actually reach out to other fellow African countries as well. I'm trying to think, there is this West African Union, which is trying to set up a new currency, which is great. And that's exactly what, you know, most countries go through. Most states go through a time of, you know, they've had things that might not have gone well. They have to rebuild. New ideas come, and this is, I suppose, West Africa's time, where they're going through a period where things are much more stable than, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. And that's all it needs, isn't it? It needs stability so people can actually invest, make money, and grow.
That's all. I'm telling you, is stability will enable these countries to grow. All right, that has been great, I have to say. That was really informative. I think we're coming to a close. Kof, the man, the legend, the man who still thinks he can do it on the football pitch, obviously. Still thinks he can get down there and do it, boy. Still thinks he can get down there and do it. But yeah.
Oh, listen, in my mind, it's all there.
In my mind, I could do millions of things. Oh my God. Oh, the things I do in my mind.
You know you're recording, isn't it? You know you're recording now.
I know I'm recording. No problems. It's all good. You may as well be real to the world. So, Kof, thank you very much for coming, man. Thanks a lot.
Beautiful.
I'll be throwing this on YouTube. I'll be throwing this on our, and also our podcast platform as well, even though Ray cussed the podcast platform. Well, he cussed it. He cussed it today. He went,
wow.
Man, you know what? My life don't revolve around no podcast. I'm like, what's he talking about? Like, who's telling him his life should revolve around the podcast?
It's big out here. Oh my word. Wait, listen, it's big. I mean, all these different platforms that podcasts are on. Mate, come on. It's your show.
Like, it don't revolve around no podcast, you know what I'm saying? That's what Ray saying.
So, guys, listen. One, I'd love to hear Kenny's. We ain't got
no time.
Impersonation. Time's done.
Time's running out. Time's running out.
Told you, man. You should have done it when I gave you the opportunity, my friend.
Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry. Kof?
I'm sure he'll turn up again.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Kof,
Ken,
we'd love to have you again.
Will Kofi resume his football career in his 40s and tear up the Premier League? And will Raymond once again talk about my tight shorts and my tight top at Salsa? Who knows? Let's see you in the next episode.